been surrounded by throughout your life. And I want to thank Don and Michelle and Stephen and everyone involved that put this dinner together and this award ceremony. And congratulations for all the work the Team for West Virginia Children does. It's unbelievable, and the work has just begun, and it's still ongoing. It's an everyday process, an everyday journey, and I can't thank you enough. It's a privilege and an honor to be here. I always love coming back to Huntington. That's why I moved closer. I've been 1,000 miles away from home for 12 years, and it was just way too long for me. And people ask me, why Lexington, why Kentucky? And obviously multiple reasons, but you know, family and Marshall, those were our two main reasons. We wanted to be closer to family on both sides of our family, whether it be in Tennessee or West Virginia, and we wanted to be closer to Marshall, to where we could be more involved and not only help financially, but be there in person and try to help our great university. You know, my personal journey, just like many of your personal journeys, it began with a good support group, and it still involves an amazing support group. And through my childhood, I had two parents that were just unbelievable and taught me how to love, taught me how to accept, and taught me how to forgive. And then I come across a great high school coach in David Meskey, one of my heroes, that fought in the Gulf War in the early 90s and had come back, and he was my high school football coach, and he taught me what courage was and what discipline was and staying the course. In college, I had a great college coach in Bob Pruitt, who taught me to never accept no for an answer and to always have your standard be extremely high. Set your own standard. Don't lower your standards to someone else's when you know your standards should be much higher. I also had extended family here, which was such a major help and a major part of my life in college. Whether it be in Lincoln County or across the river in Chesapeake, I had extended family all over the tri-state area who were part of my support group and helped me get through those tough times in college and those ups and downs in college. And then in the professional, in the NFL, had an amazing head coach in Herman Edwards, who taught me how to be a true pro. And then another amazing quarterback coach in David Lee, who when I met Coach Lee, was a trying time in my career, where I had been benched in New York. I had been released in the middle of training camp in 2008, just signed with the Miami Dolphins, really not knowing what was going to happen. And God placed another man in my life to help guide me through that tough time and to be able to really grow through that tough time in my career. Because up until that point, the game of football was certainly my God. It controlled every emotion, every attitude I had, whether it be toward my friends or family, my own kids or my wife. And with the help of people like Coach Lee and going through that tough time in my career when I was benched, I was able to really put the game of football where it should be in the proper perspective of my life and really focus on what was most important, and that was the people around me and what the many blessings and many opportunities that God had given me up to that point. And now here I am in retirement and have some amazing friends. You guys just saw a couple of those. Chuck Music's here tonight, and he and his wife Holly, they've been such an amazing part of my life and been a great support to me. Coach Pruitt, you know, he's retired now, so he calls me about every day. I'm like one of his best friends. Coach, you need to get you another job because I'm tired of answering. And then Professor Hollis, I make sure that I try to see Dan every time I come in, and Mike Hamrick is here tonight, and John Sutherland. There's so many great people around the university that you know, I attribute a lot of things that I've been able to experience along the way. But you know, God has placed these people in my path to share their wisdom, to share their experience, and most importantly, to share their love and guidance. And I can't thank them enough, and certainly wouldn't be here. You know, we talk about Team for West Virginia Children, and what's that about? And to me, it's about serving children and service to others. And I always ask the question, you know, how do we share with children, or others for that matter, how to be confident, productive, and loving human beings? How do we do that? How do we present that to children? I have 3 boys of my own, and it's amazing as 2 of them are now in school, and the third is getting ready to be, and how they come home with so many different ideas and words that I never taught them and phrases that I've never heard before, and all these different things, and it's so important that their family life and the people that I place in their lives are stable and confident and loving to nurture them, because society, unfortunately, in my opinion, teaches our children as well as our adults things that I just think aren't very becoming and aren't, quite frankly, right. And so how do we share with our children how to be confident, loving, and productive human beings? First, I think we share with them what it does not involve. It does not involve individualism. It does not involve materialism. But instead, it's actually pretty simple. When I started to think about it, how could I explain what it involves when you're sharing with a child or with another human being? And the scripture from Galatians chapter 5 came to mind, verses 22 through 23, and it talks about the fruit of the Spirit. And it says that, but the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. And I thought about all of those words, and those are 9 words to really think about and take in. And before I go on, I want to recognize Pastor Bob. What an amazing man Pastor Bob is and has been in my life as well. Pastor Bob married my wife and I 12 years ago this past March, and so I wanted to make sure that I recognize him, because many of you may not know that he was a major factor not only in my life but a lot of my teammates' lives as we were coming through Marshall and trying to enjoy our college experience and figure this whole thing out. Pastor Bob was right there along the way. 3 keys that I think are important as we try to share with our children what it means to be a loving human being. Number 1, you take from the fruit of the Spirit, you talk about self-control. Self-control, maybe another word is discipline. And sometimes when we think about discipline, we think, well, discipline means that I'm going to get up at 6 in the morning and then I'm going to go to bed at 10 o'clock. I'm going to get this routine. And Bill Parcells always told me that there's a difference between routine and commitment. That anyone can go through a routine and you just kind of get used to that routine, but are you truly committed? The discipline that I'm talking about is understanding how to be disciplined under authority. And I think that our society is not teaching that to our children in today's world. They believe that they can say anything when they want to say it, and they can do anything when they want to do it. And there's not a place and time for anything. There's a time and place for everything. But it's that specific time and place, not just any time, and it's not just fly by the seat of your pants. And Proverbs 10:17 says, he who heeds discipline shows the way of life, but whoever ignores correction leads others astray. Hebrews 12:11 says, no discipline seems pleasant at the time, but painful. Later on, however, it produces a harvest of righteousness and peace for those who have been trained by it. So I think it's really important that we share with our children. I even think about our student-athlete program. And I was talking to Rakeem Cato a couple of months ago about this very thing about discipline under authority. To become a real man and a real woman, a true man or a true woman, we've got to show and share with our children how to have self-control and discipline under authority, even sometimes when we don't agree with it. But because we show that discipline under that authority, we're able to share that experience with someone who may be going through something later on in our lives, that we can share that experience. Hey, this is what happened. This is the type of discipline that I learned under an authority that I may not necessarily agree with at the time. And to me, that's something that is just not taught in today's society. The second word that popped out of me from the fruit of the Holy Spirit was patience. And when I think of patience, I think of the word perseverance. And perseverance does require patience, because life doesn't involve a single destination. It's a journey. It's a process. And my favorite Bible verse of all time is James 1:2-4. And I told you about that time in 2008 and 2007 when I was benched in New York, and I hated football. I was ready to just let it go then. And I remember every morning waking up and my wife and I getting on our hands and knees and just praying, Lord, just let me get through one more day. I'm going through a difficult situation. And this Bible verse kept coming back to me, and it says, consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, when you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. And life actually involves learning how to embrace failure. If we think about it, and I run into this a lot now being a new dad and having 3 boys, I find myself sometimes, and I catch myself sometimes trying to avoid failure for my boys. that I don't want them to fail because we want them to succeed so badly. But instead of avoiding failure, we've got to be able to show our children how to embrace failure. Now, that doesn't mean that we accept it, but to be able to embrace failure and learn from it. Because if we never fail, how do we truly know what success is? And so being able to embrace failure and not avoid failure at all costs is so important. Now, just go to a Little League game, and you'll see it firsthand, right? My boys are at a Little League game right now, and oh man, I've really just got to take a chill pill when I walk onto the field. I know something's getting ready to go down, and I'm not going to be able to deal with it. You guys have been there before, and so because you see it right there, you see a parent whose intentions are good, but you know they're on the umpire, they're on the coach because it's not their little boy or their little girl's fault, and they never teach their little boy or their little girl how to deal with the bad call or deal with the adversity or the challenge that's ahead of them, and then they wonder why later on that they're seeking advice from someone else besides their own parents. It's because we never allowed them the opportunity and the forum to come to us as parents and come to us as guardians and people in their life and just throw it all out on the table and say, look, this is what I'm dealing with. What do I need to do? Because they're scared sometimes. They're scared that we're going to chastise them or approach them in the wrong way. And so being able to not avoid failure, but embrace it. And so when you think about the fruit of the Spirit, you think about how do we, as adults, share with our children, share with these children that Team for West Virginia Children is involved with. What is that one key word? And to me, it's love. And that's the first word that comes when you see it. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, yada, yada, yada. It's love. And 1 Corinthians 13, chapter 13, verse 4 through 7. Because love is a word in our society today that's totally misinterpreted. It's something that's superficial, that's totally emotional, and it is like a roller coaster. And it changes daily. But love, true love, 1 Corinthians says, love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects. It always trusts. Always hopes. Always perseveres. And it is no coincidence that this description of love included all of the fruits of the Spirit. And it includes all of those words that we associate with being successful human beings, because it does come down to love. I think my hero is my dad. And he's an amazing man, and I seek his advice and his wisdom a lot. And he's given me some great quotes along the way. Some I didn't understand for years until now as I'm getting older. But the one thing that he did share with me when my first son was born, he said, Chad, the greatest gift that you can give your children is yourself. It's not money, it's not materials, it's yourself. And it's so true. My boys, God bless them, they've got more toys than Toys R Us. But when I look around and I see where they are, they're always up under Robin's feet and my feet. Forget the toys. They've got a stick or a ball in the hand. It's real simple, but they want to be around us. And we sit back and laugh and would like for them to kind of scurry off and go play with their toys. But at the end of the day, you sit back and go, these times are precious and they're getting ready to end sooner than I want them to, and sooner than you think. And so the greatest gift you can give your children is yourself. And for all of you who support Team for West Virginia Children and for all those involved, let's always keep that in mind. That's exactly what our children need, is ourselves, our time. Because becoming a true man and becoming a true woman will certainly involve discipline, perseverance, and love. If our children are going to have a chance, and that's all we ever ask for. If you think about growing up, that's all you ever ask. Just give me a chance. Just give me an opportunity. That's all I ever want. And that's all a child ever wants. But if they're going to have a chance, they must see how we as adults live by example. And how we not only talk about it, but how we are about it. Because one thing's for sure, discipline will always be needed. perseverance will always be required, and love will always prevail. So thank you guys so much for being here tonight. Thank you for this honor. It's truly a pleasure to be with you tonight. Thank you very much.